We are live. Welcome everyone to another epic conversation. Today I'm joined by special guest actually. I know we say it all the time, special guest, but I think it's a good conversation to have because some people might be going through the journey, some people might. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of gems. So without further ado, welcome Rebekah Walker to the podcast.
Wee, thank you. What an introduction as well.
Welcome, man. Welcome. We'll call you Bex.
Yeah, listen, Bex.
Bex, yeah.
Bex.
So, how are you anyway?
I'm good. I'm actually really, really good. I feel I'm good, but I'm tired.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think that is though? Is it why? Because how come everyone's? Because I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were saying, I'm just tired. Yeah. What is it? Do you think it's London or?
I don't know. I think it's a combination that obviously being in London, your brain is ticking 24/7.
Yeah.
And so just even when you're sleeping, you're thinking and it's like, oh, and so sometimes it doesn't feel like it's restful, your sleep. Yeah. But apparently also there are a lot of people who are like iron deficient. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe it could be iron, but I just think, I'll be honest with you, I think it's just mental exhaustion of good things and then things that you have to think about anyway that's going on in like just the world. So
yeah, man. Yeah. I think there's a mixture of that. Even like the iron thing that you said, I think even the food that we're having, I know we're going off topic, people, right? But this is what it is. This is what you're going to get in this podcast, yeah? We'll talk about everything. But I think, the food as well is not the same these days.
No, massively. Well, I was going to say earlier, you were drinking two healthy drinks and then you've got this drink here.
Yeah, do you know what? We're not even going to promote them because they're not promoting the podcast. So, do you know what I'm saying? We're not going to put them on until they start sponsoring the podcast. But the Irish moss, I had a bit of that, do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a trend.
What as in healthy eating or just getting involved with it?
Bit of both, but I mean like the Irish moss. As soon as people are like, oh, Irish moss. I know it's like old school and people have been using, but I think as soon as someone gets hold of it, it's like, I don't know, they start tampering it, start putting their own labels and starts becoming commercially. And then before you know it, big companies take it, start adding bare sugar, then it's done. Do you know what I'm saying?
But this whole industry is all about money. So
it is, which we will definitely be talking about in a minute. I'll tell you that, man. But yeah, no, Bex, thank you for coming, man. Honestly.
Thanks for having me.
We want to talk about, obviously, the podcast about the football industry. Mainly, we talk about life journeys, which is, for me, a huge thing because if it touches one person, I think our job is done here. Do you know what I mean? I think we're all looking for inspiration. And I definitely think you are an inspiration as well to others, especially we'll touch in terms of your journey. But currently, you are working with Tottenham Hotspur in their media team.
Yes.
Just talk a little bit about that, man. What are you currently doing?
So I've been working at Spurs for 6 months. 6 months, sorry. And for those of you who are listening or watching, I'm a huge Tottenham supporter. So no, don't come that energy, Gerald. Gerald, listen, the door's there, the door is there.
Do you know what? We can't even say anything because Arsenal right now, mate, we're a mess.
So football this season has just been the most unpredictable it's ever been.
Yeah.
Well, especially in our lifetime, I would say. Weird season. I've been working there for 6 months. Some might say this is a dream job. I don't know if I believe in a dream job, but definitely, well, as in, the dream. Like, I think dreams change all the time, but definitely an opportunity to get into a field that I care about, that I'm interested in, and it's about football. So, listen, been a Spurs fan since came out the womb.
Yeah.
Some might say it's a dream job.
Do you know? All right, let's talk about that. You said in terms of, the dream changes. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just think so that when I was younger, I always said I wanted to be a sports journalist. And so, now, however many years later, working in a form of sports journalism, I guess maybe as I was coming into my early 20s, it was a bit like, I don't know if this is something I want to do. But then it was rekindled again, maybe a year ago. The pandemic massively.
Yeah.
Just keep life simple because we had to keep it very simple.
Yeah.
And I just think a lot of things were just exposed, in our hearts and in our minds about the things that I cared about, the things that I was passionate about, the things that I forgot about, the things that I'm like, oh, you need to take a hard look at yourself,
which is not easy, by the way, to do that.
Not at all.
Because you have to be very honest with yourself.
Very. Well, when you lift the lid on life and you're just like, don't like what I see there. It's easy to kind of turn a blind eye, sorry.
Yeah.
But so I think when I say dreams change, I think we have lots of dreams. There's lots of things that we want to achieve, but not everything happens obviously there and then when you think about it. But then also, because we're human, we are very affected by our emotions and external factors that sometimes things put you off of what you wanted to do. And then you're a bit like, oh no, I don't want to do that anymore. And I think also just as you get older, you discover new dreams, don't you?
That's cool that you said that though, because sometimes I beat myself up, like in terms of changing that dream. I'm like, no, you said you're going to do this. But the next morning I wake up, I'm like, I don't want to do that no more. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I don't. I want to change. I want to do something different. What would you advise to someone that's possibly, I don't know, maybe they've got a passion for sports journalism and they might be in a position where they don't want to do their current job, but also we got to live in a reality as well. People got bills to pay. What's your advice? I know it's just like, go and do what you need to go and do. But in terms of the steps that you've taken to get into the industry that you have, kind of talk to us about that, like how you got involved with it all.
So I totally agree with you. I find when people say go do what you want to do, actually a very unhelpful statement, because there are things that you need to experience before you just go and do the thing. And just for a bit of context, what I actually do obviously at Tottenham is I'm the host on their Twitch channel. And if anyone's like, what is Twitch? It's a like e-gaming platform where traditionally it's just all been about like playing video games, but now Twitch are trying to diversify their content, sports, music, obviously e-games and stuff like that. And so Tottenham, Arsenal, and a couple of Barcelona, and I can't remember the other clubs that have been on there. A few of them have joined Twitch this season. And then, but massive for NFL and basketball. Because obviously Twitch
is it American brand?
So it's actually owned by Amazon. So I mean, Amazon, you know,
owning everything. Do you know what? I was riding past the other day here, and I see there's an Amazon store open, like food store.
Really?
Yeah. I was shocked. I said, what? They're open up. They're taking over.
Amazon. Listen, Jeff Bezos knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Massively. So
apparently he's in the moon.
Who said that?
Apparently they said that he's traveling to the moon like as a holiday.
Oh my!
That's how mad it's getting.
I actually believe it.
I do.
Yeah. Because what is it? Richard Branson's Virgin could take you into the atmosphere, like to the Earth's atmosphere.
I think he's there chilling right now in the moon, just whatever he's doing, on Mars, wherever he's at. Do you know what I'm saying?
That man.
Might be hot there. Do you know what I mean? Because it's raining over here now. So
I know. What happened to all that lovely weather that we had?
That's crazy, you know.
I know.
Like, I think. Do you think they kind of like tap a button and say, "Now we're going to start raining today"?
Yeah, a bit like how you just tap this in front of us.
Because it's mad. Because we're in June and it's raining.
Oh no, this is England.
Yeah, that's true, man.
If you don't carry an umbrella wherever you go, rain.
You need a rain jacket.
Yep.
Umbrella, t-shirt. Yep. What else? What else do you need here?
You just need
wellies. You know what I mean? Bloody trainers, flip flops, all in one. Make sure you got a big bag with you, boy. But yeah, no. So you're saying in terms of like the Twitch and the journey as well, like you know, your journey into sports journalism. Like, what was the challenges that you faced like coming through, man?
So I think for me, one of the biggest challenges I faced was belief in myself. Because I think you can know you've got gifts and talents to present and to show the world, but I think to believe that like fully wholeheartedly, you know, obviously people can believe in you, but if you don't believe that in yourself, you don't give everything that you can do. So I just think it's, for me, I'm all about having a good tribe, and I've really had to rely on my tribe throughout the pandemic, throughout my just career. Like, work is the one area of my life that I think I really haven't always held in my hands. You know, because it's a bit out of your out of your control. Just, you have an employer, it's this, it's, I don't want to work here anymore, but it's but you still got to pay bills and stuff like that. But I don't want to be given into the fear of not having money. And so I just, work is, I find, a complex one. But I think it was just belief. And I think once I've kind of stream after stream, just finding more confidence in knowing, hey, you know what? You can speak well, you can engage with people well. You just have to kind of G yourself up a little bit, you know? And so, I think that's probably been my hardest kind of, to kind of overcome. And then I think then naturally, once you overcome that, you realize, oh, no one else really looks like me, or oh, no one's done this before, and and so then you're having to overcome those kind of mountains in your mind as well. So I feel like the challenges come more in the mind more so than the practicalities.
I find that with pretty much a lot of things as well, even with football. I think a lot of people, like I was speaking to a player who's played in the Premier League and have played at a good level as well. And what was we saying? We were saying that in terms of playing in the Premier League, a lot of players are kind of the same sort of level, but then it's the mind that kind of, you see the difference. Do you know what I mean? You see the difference between players and you're like, how come he didn't take it to that next level, or she didn't take it to that next level? Because we're all kind of the same level, but it's like that extra dedication, like working, training, or I think upbringing as well has a lot to do with it as well, man.
Home life, upbringing, massively. And I think, you know, one of the things that I've been really kind of unpacking is, what does family look like? Because obviously family looks very different to lots of people, and you know, and that's just life. And that's totally okay. And you know, I think sometimes people are ashamed of what their family might look like, but family is really important. And you know, some people think they're doing family well, some people are, and they're not. Some people who might not think they're doing family well, but are actually doing family quite well. And obviously family isn't just about blood relationships, it's about healthy relationships, you know, in all different capacities, all different ways, peer-to-peer family, older, younger family, whatever the rafts of family looks like. And so when you talk about mindset and you talk about how, you know, people's background, what drives a person to be the very best, you know, obviously not to be biased here, but, you know, Harry Kane, you know, seriously.
Stop. Nah. Now, do you know what? Big up Harry Kane and big up what he's doing. And I just think like, let me leave it as that. Big up Harry Kane. Big up Harry Kane.
No, do you know, it's just because I think, you know, obviously one of the arguments this season is, you know, one man Harry Kane carries the team and stuff like that, which I don't think is very fair to say, because I think what you've just said about who you were talking to in terms of, because as in, like, I think people look at the shell, right? So outwardly, it might look like one man leads the team, but obviously behind closed doors, and you know, you having a career in football, I think what's been exposing for me coming into the football industry is how much pressure goes on beyond the closed doors. So you know, I'm a fan first and foremost. Obviously, kickball when I was younger, but you know, it was different. You know, I wasn't playing in like high levels that you would have played in. You know, I wouldn't necessarily have understood it from that perspective. Coming now into this industry, I'm like, whoa.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, massively.
Especially at that level as well.
Massively. And so when we talk about family, you know, and you see the likes of some players, they have amazing family structures that help them through the rafters of the pressure of being a footballer. When it comes to, you know, doing what you said about family and what your background is and coming into this place of wanting to be successful in whatever you do, it's about surrounding yourself with the right people. I think people who understand your vision, who've bought into your vision, patience, because we're human, and patience is actually just greatly needed. And I think also just understanding, this is not even new stuff, but it's just understanding that there's a journey and a process to everything.
But I think the generation's changed though, because it's like everything's instant. We can go and get something to eat right now and it'll come in the next 20 minutes.
I know, it's nuts.
Like Uber or whatever. I think the other day I was ordering an Uber and I was like, 5 minutes to wait. That's a long time. Usually they just come like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and it's just like, I see myself changing as well, let alone a generation that's kind of coming into that sort of world where you're seeing babies, first thing that they're doing is just straight iPad. They know that they know the code, they know how to navigate through it, and it's like they're gonna be brought up in that environment where things are just so instant. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, it's a strange and beautiful time to be in.
Strange is the way to put it. I think strange because instantaneous behaviors just, well, some would argue, oh, it makes you lazy. Some would argue it's efficiency.
Both, but that's what I mean. I think there's a balance, as long as you know the balance.
Yes.
But again, I find myself sometimes like, why is it taking so long? Like I want it to come now, and then it kind of reflects on other things, like when you go to a restaurant and the waiter takes bare long and you're thinking, It's taking long. But yeah, no, it's crazy. It's a crazy time that we're in. And also, like I said, a time that I'm excited for, because
what excites you the most?
Just the fact that we can do anything.
Yeah.
Like we can literally, we don't need these big companies anymore to kind of get your message across, get your creativity across, connect. Like, do you know what I mean? I've got family in different countries, and I remember back in the days, my mom would have to go and get the scratch phone cards, and you have to dial it in, and you've only got like a minute on the phone with them, because like you can't get the £5 one. The £5 one, who's got £5 back then like that? Do you know what I mean? You're getting like the tooth or whatever. The £5 one's got to last you for the month. So you're there just like quickly. You're right, Nan, how you doing, blah, blah. Yeah, good. Yeah, bam, done. Whereas now it's like we got whatever, WhatsApp, we got Zoom, everyone's using now. I think, yeah, man, I think that's what's the most exciting for me, is like having that access to creation, like doing whatever that you need to do. Like there's no excuses anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, say for instance, like if you wanted to start up your own radio station or whatever, back in the days that was pirate radio. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to go on top floor in an estate council, and do you know what I mean, make it happen. Whereas now you don't really need to do that. You got YouTube to do that if you really, do you know what I mean? So what we're doing now, boom,
massively, yeah, and it's changed the game, and I guess that's what we're all trying to do in terms of creating a level playing field for everyone to exist. And I think you've done that fantastically well. Thank you very much, very fantastically well.
No, thank you.
But also, I feel like you've done it well without having to shout massively.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, well, you're not. No,
I'm not that guy.
That's true, and everyone knows you. Knows that you're not that guy. But I think there's a secret sauce in how you've done things in terms of do things quietly.
I've been winging it.
Do you know what? But even if you are winging it, you've been winging it, but even in the winging, you're a man of vision, you know. So you can't. I don't feel like you're winging it and then like, oh, I just hope this sticks. Okay, there might be a bit of that, but there's also
an element of it.
But there's also you're a prepared person, Gerald.
Yeah.
So.
No, I appreciate. Thank you. I'll take the compliment. I think it goes back to what you said is like parenting or family stuff, things like that. No one's been given a manual to say, this is how you parent, this is how you be a mom, this is how you be a dad or anything like that. This is how you be a brother. Yeah. You kind of learn along the way. And I think, family background, family dynamics, we wasn't blessed with a lot of stuff. So it was like kind of left to your own device, make what you have out of it. So it's like that sort of mindset, that sort of character, I think I've brought it with me along the way. And it's done me all right so far. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And I think also on that, like, I'm not a parent. Yeah. And so I don't know what it's like to be a parent, but I am a child of somebody who's a parent. But one thing I realize is that every generation has the opportunity to do it better. So you've just said all those things that you learned from your parents. And obviously, you know, should you choose to have children one day, there are just something, obviously the principles that you might take, but it might execute very differently. You know,
100%.
Your children might exist in an environment very different to yours, but still on the same principles of what you've been brought on. And so I think that's what it's about, right? You just want to see every generation do better.
100%. And I think, like, again, we're in a time where, you know, we have everything like around us, like there's no excuses. We should make it happen. But again, it's a new world that we're kind of diving into. It's a new mindset. I think the pandemic's kind of done that to us as well. It's like it's kind of programmed us in a different way now to think differently, to kind of our interaction is different. I think even things like handshakes, I'm like, it's like, yeah, you're right. And they're like, oh yeah, here's a touch. Or and back in the day, if you did that, they'd be like, no, you're a rude boy or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But now it's like everyone's doing the touch or a fist. So yeah, no, it's crazy. But what was your childhood like? What was that like?
Yeah, do you know what? I feel very, very blessed to have come from a home full of lots of love. My mum, my dad, my brother, the four of us. Yeah. And you know, for the I can't even say for the most part. I don't even. It was just enjoyable. I can't. That's the only way I can describe it. And I think I'm so grateful because my parents grew up in a very different environment to how my brother and I grew up. My dad grew up he was a foster kid, whereas my mum, well, she actually grew up in a really loving family. But again, just I guess resource and you know things like that were different. Me and my brother have grown up in just completely different environments to my parents. But again, just love. I don't know what else to say. It was just love,
You
joy.
can see that though in your character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, you can see that. I think you can kind of see that coming out, and you like just you're joyous, like you're comfortable as well in terms of like interacting with others. And I think you kind of make that safe space in a room where people can actually speak. Like even now, it's like I'm supposed to be asking you questions. You know what I mean? But I'm like, you just create that space. So no, it sounds beautiful, man. And in terms of like football, where did the love come from? Like, was that for your brother, your dad?
So my dad is, so my granddad's a Spurs fan, dad's a Spurs fan. So just naturally, I'm going to be a Spurs fan. Dad, loves football, and I'm the eldest. So, and I would say my sense of just allegiance, because my brother had a little touch and go moment when it came to what team he's being not with Arsenal, thank goodness. No. Just I think he would say no, it's Madrid, Real Madrid.
Oh, not even in his country.
I know, but I think it's something so silly now. It's something that maybe my dad said something one day, and he's just like bearing in mind he was like 8 years old, so it's in context. And he's like, do you know what? I'm not supporting Spurs anymore. So there was this like a real season where he just only followed Real Madrid.
Galacticos them times as well.
But also obviously look at the team was mad. Exactly. So I get it. But love of football comes from my dad. Just from young, put football by my feet. Kickball, just Crystal Palace parks where we always used to just play football. And then I just come from a family who love football, so just naturally, I think that's like most people's stories. It's just like one parent really loved it, and then here I am, and then I always had a dream to be a footballer.
Okay, all right.
Always didn't make it, but
But I think it was harder them times though, because I think like we spoke off air as well. The game's changed. There's a lot of money that's being pumped into the women's game. What was that like going to school and then saying I want to play football? Like what was the reaction from the boys like?
Do you know? So I think again, just I was that young girl who very tomboyish, just. I don't care who you are. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And so there was always that shock factor. So I'll never forget a moment in school when I joined a new school and I brought a football. So all the boys are playing in the basketball court playing football. And obviously all the girls over there, and this is like so classic, but I was like, I like what they're doing over there. But right now I want to, this looks quite fun. So I was like, the next day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my football in because they had to borrow the footballs from school.
Okay.
And so this is so lame, but so I basically brought my football and I was just like walking around the like basketball court just so they'd be like, come like play. They're like, can we play with your football? And I was like, if I can play. And then obviously, naturally, back then, I think we have less gender bias now.
Back then you wouldn't like to see a girl with a football though.
It was exactly. And so there was just that hesitancy naturally. But for me, I quite like being underestimated because then you have a bit. Absolutely. You come in, you might look like the disadvantage, but you come in actually quite advantageous. So remember, I was like, if you let me play. So I got in the pool, absolutely just bossed it. And they were like, what? And it's just, and obviously because, back in the day, being one of the few, young girls who I would say was like quite decent. People are just like, oh my gosh, you can play football. And it's a bit like, whereas as you say today, I think, young girls who are playing, young women who are playing, you just don't really get that because they're just ballers. And I think obviously the women's game has massively
grown. And it's still growing.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much more to come, especially in the UK. And so, I used to play football, obviously school, play for club. But then, unfortunately, I think there's that, they call it the kind of gender gap. When you hit about 15, especially when you start going through puberty, just naturally that kind of, you become more conscious of your body, you become more conscious about like, how am I coming across, normal stuff. But again, I think now we're better equipped to help people transition through that better. I'd be like, actually, do you know what? Like, actually, I was going to say on LinkedIn, I saw Adidas have got a new leggings that they're introducing for like women who are like,
I see that.
During their monthly cycle. And I was just like, it's things like that. Just
there's more awareness now,
more awareness.
That's what I mean by the time that we're in. It's like there's so much new technology that's coming out. There's so much awareness coming out. Like back in the days, like get on with it. What are you complaining about? Do you know what I mean? So what position did you play?
So I used to play in the centre mid, but because I'm quick, I got flung to the wing.
All right. Did you have any trials?
No, because by the time I went So by the time I was 15. So that's when it kind of like tailed off.
Yeah.
So I like played like local clubs and stuff. And like I said, but then also, you know, as I said to you earlier, like confidence.
Yeah.
And I didn't see many people like me playing football. So that actually had a massive, and I've only really realized that more recently, that even at that age, that had an effect on, I don't really see any people kind of doing what I want to do. It's a very male dominated space, you know, learning as a young woman to like be comfortable in male, just, and so, yeah, so at 15, it kind of like dipped off, and then I went to uni, and then I started playing uni football again.
Okay.
And then I was just playing with women who were like playing for England, like under 19s, 20. Yeah, some
so
serious.
The level was good.
Yeah, the level was very good. There's one girl, absolute baller, you know. And so I was just like, I guess coming into a space now where you see women who are like playing football. Again, not many people who look like me, but women playing football. That just gassed me. So I was like, coming back, finding the love again. And a lot of my friends, they're not really into sport like that. And, you know, I played cricket, big swimmer. Very big swimmer. I used to swim like 4 times a week.
So you're very sporty then.
Sport. I say sport is my first. I always say 3 things: God, music, and sport. Those are my 3 loves.
Yeah, that's powerful. What do you think sport does for a young person?
That's a great question. I think it does a few things. I think first and foremost, I think a sense of community, belonging. I think that's really important. And especially, again, going back to what home life or home environment might be, you know, it might not even be that your environment is like a difficult environment, but maybe you just feel like, oh, they don't get me, you know? And
escapism.
Exactly. And I think sport can give you a sense of purpose, sense of belonging, discipline. I think sport, and I'm so for discipline. I think sometimes discipline people think of it quite negatively. But I'm like, no, to be self-disciplined, you know, to have control over one's body, thoughts, and mind, massive, you know. And again, I think that's what brings the people from this level to that level is like, what's your discipline? You know, what have you got in place to help you be disciplined? I think it also just provides fun. Like, I think that's just really important.
Enjoyment.
Enjoy it, you know.
Keeps you fit.
Just, I think sport gives, and there's even more things that we haven't even spoken about. But yeah, and also I think because people always think sport is just the performance level, which again, shell-wise, it is. But there's so much more behind the shell, behind the scenes. And I think even that, just exposure to lots of different things, whether it's like podcasting, whether it's coaching, whether it's nutrition, psychology, you know, all of this stuff and more. I'm sport. There's so much.
No, I definitely agree. And I think what you just said there is like, I remember when I was 16 and I didn't get my scholarship. And there was a time where anyone that's listened to the podcast before, they'll know the story, but if you haven't, I'll tell it again. So, but yeah, no, it's just in terms of like, I'll keep it short though. But yeah, in terms of at that time, football was all I knew. So it was like, when I didn't get my scholarship, it was like, oh, what do I do now? You know, family dynamics wasn't the best at that time. And it was like, all right, cool. The next set of family was people around my area. And obviously it was just like, all right, cool. They're not really doing the things that you want to do, but it's like, they're kind of showing you more time, more love or whatever it is at that time, at the age of 16, there's things happen within you internally, like you don't even know as a young man or a young woman. So yeah, it was like kind of a lost transition. And I felt like I didn't have guidance. There wasn't awareness of, if you don't make it as well, like there's other clubs in the lower league that you can go through, but there wasn't that sort of awareness to say, if you do go and play for like a national league team or something like that, you still have an opportunity to go into the Prem or whatever it is. So there wasn't that guidance there. Other passions, I always had a passion for media, and I didn't know how to kind of bring the two worlds together. At that time, no one kind of really knew, innit?
No,
Do you know what I mean?
It didn't really exist.
It didn't really exist like that, apart from the big major brands that were just televised football, and you had ex-players doing the punditry. But yeah, like for me, it was more so like creating a platform for people, for young people to understand that if it is football that you want to get into, there's different avenues that you can go. So if you don't make as a pro, you might not have the same excitement, but you're still around it. So if you want to become a coach, we've had coaches here before. If you want to be a presenter, we've got you here right now. And do you know what I'm saying? If you want to, just anything, do you know what I mean? If you want to be a chef, like if you really like food or, you know, making food, you can go and work in a club. You can have the interactions with the team and, do you know what I mean? And go and watch games and just be around the club and that. So I think what you said there is very, very important. Is like, now we need to create that space and awareness for people to understand that it's not the end. Because for me, it felt like it was the end. And then it's only like later on down the line that I got back into football after I was kind of forced because of my circumstances and everything like that. So yeah, man, I think we need to bring more awareness. And again, this is what the platform's about. So when you were 16 or like college and things like that, and you knew that you weren't going to make it or anything like that, where was your head at? Like, did you kind of have a plan of where you wanted to go? I know we spoke about dreams always change and things like that. Was it a thing that it kind of set you back a little bit, or was it a thing where like, no, I'm gonna go with emotion, find another purpose, find another dream or vision? What was that like for you at that time?
Well, I'm quite a relaxed person, and I think sometimes people have said to me in the past that sometimes me being too relaxed isn't always a good thing. Well, not a good, that's not maybe the best way to put it, but just be weary of being quite relaxed. But for me, I'm quite happy that I'm quite a relaxed person, and because it's just given me time and space to just try things. And, you know, I've been quite fortunate to be in a household where it's just try it, that's see good. If it sticks, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, it's not a big deal. But I was always I loved English language. Like, love words, love languages, you know, hearing people speak dialects, accents. I love it all, you know? So I think from school to college, I was like, oh, I'm going to just study English language, not so much literature, because, you know, I mean, do I like to read? I mean, I do like to read, but it's not my, you know.
So sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, when people are like, you know, like books, you don't read, bro. Just, you're trying to be cool. Yeah. I find myself, you know what, I do like reading, but there's times I'm like, reading the book, I'm like, do you know what? Shut that off. I'm like, let me watch a podcast. Yeah. I'll get more out of it. It just depends on what book it is for me.
And that's what it is. I think, you know, young love to read, but as you get older, it's sometimes I find it hard to just make dedicated time to open up a book. But language has always interested me. And language affects everything that we do, whether it's you know, on the computer language, whether it's abroad speaking another language, everything requires language. So I was like, oh, let me just focus on language. So when I got into sixth form, studied English language, did PE and sociology, obviously really interested in people, why people do what they do. And I just think all of this stuff just intertwines. We come into face to face with it every day. And so I was like, oh, I don't know what I'll do, but let's do something English-y, you know, with language. But still at the back of my mind, always knowing that I did want to do some sort of journalism. And I had a cool opportunity to go work at the Telegraph as like some work experience. And I was like, yeah, this is cool, but this isn't really the kind of journalism I want to do. You know, it was amazing because obviously it's such an establishment, and to see something that has lasted for literally nearly 100 years or however long the paper's been around. It was great. But it's a bit stiff, you know? It's a bit stiff. Everything's a bit stiff in here.
Sauce here right now.
None whatsoever. Dry like toast.
Salt and vinegar right now, mate.
Yeah, so no.
Salt and pepper.
But there was so much to learn there because to communicate well, that's an art and that's a skill. And so whilst I was a bit like, you know, it's quite one-dimensional in that sense, learned a lot, and it just, I guess, reinforced that I do want to do journalism. Don't know if it was sports, but something around words and language. So by the time I finished sixth form, I was like, let me go to uni. So I studied English language and linguistics. And then obviously played sport, you know, just sport has always been there, as I said, sport and music has always been there. And then I came out of uni and it was a bit like, what am I going to do? Just that classic old thing. So I don't think I've really been like, this is what I want to do specifically and get into it. No, that's not been me, you know. Just be like, let's just see where we go. And then by the time I finished, I was like, my parents were like, well, it's time for you to get a job. And I was like, oh my gosh, a job?
Real world.
Real world. Well, to be fair, I was working in Sainsbury's before, like, during, which I absolutely loved. Because one, there was just bare young people. So that was great. But two, I love the people element, you know. Sorry, can you put me to, of course, I can do it.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I love it.
Sick.
Absolutely loved it. and being on the tills. I just love communicating with people, you know, and I just.
So you was one of those.
Yeah, that was
like,
me.
So how's your day?
Yeah, that was me. That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you was doing all of that, yeah?
That was me.
Did you get some people who be like, please just don't talk to me?
Do you know what? No. Because I think it's about reading people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't need to. You're right, cool.
Yeah.
And they just want to move on.
Yeah.
But that comes down to how your awareness skills.
Okay.
But listen, Sainsbury's was a great place to work. You know, how old was I? 16 when I got a job there.
Okay. Yeah.
Great place to work. Learn again, lots of skills. And I would also say, you know, as a sidebar to obviously media, if you wanna like know where you want to go, retail again just gives you all those things.
You learn a lot from retail, you know.
Massively.
Yeah. Retail was mad. I remember. Do you know what? I used to work at Sainsbury's as well.
No way!
Yeah. Like that was my first job. No, my first ever job was a paper round. I remember I was like 14, 15.
Gosh.
Like they used to bring the papers to my house or whatever. You know those granny trolleys and that, like. Fill that up, go around, put them through the letterbox and whatnot. Sometimes just chuck it there, it's raining, it's all mad. And I think they got a complaint because I got lazy with it. I just wanted the money. I wanted to get boots and that in it at that time. So, or just things. I used to like stickers and, do you know what I mean? Like obviously games and stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of get those things around me. And then, I got a job at Sainsbury's when I was 16 again. Young people, they were sick. Well, you learn a lot though, man. Like you said, interaction like with people and, you know, like just everything. Understand obviously timing and man, just kind of like selling skills as well at times as well. Like when they're asking you questions and whatnot, and you're like, yeah, this is, you know, like, because what was I doing? I was doing the technology side of it as well.
Okay.
So I was in like the selling cameras and
that's where I worked. That's the section I worked in. Yeah, the general merchandise section.
There you go. That's it. General merchandise. So it's just like people asking you questions like, yeah, this is sick, but you're just like, this is not sick. I'm just trying to sell it, bro. I'm just trying to sell it. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, no, that's dope, man. You definitely learn a lot, man. But so after that, Guardian, everything like that, what was the next steps like for you?
So as I said, graduated.
Yeah.
Need to get a job.
Yeah.
And you know, I had the best summer. You know, you just have those summers where you're just like, I'm free, and you can do you just on holiday, you're just with your friends. But then obviously September hits, and it's like, no, you need to.
What's happening? Yeah,
what's happening?
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine, who actually went to my church, she was like, oh, there's a job going at my workplace, and she worked for a company called Bauer, which was where I was before I joined Spurs. I was like, oh, Bauer, I've never heard of Bauer before. She's like, yeah, it's called Bauer Media, and but what I didn't know was that Bauer Media was a conglomerate and that they owned lots of different brands. So some of the brands that are under Bauer Media is like Kiss FM, Magic, Heat, magazines wise, you have like Closer and Heat. So a wide,
top, like they're running the media industry that side of things.
a big like stake in terms of media, traditional media. And so she was like, oh yeah, there's this job going, you should apply. So I was like I said, I'm quite like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, you know. So I went, did a group interview, and then we had a one-on-one interview. And I'll be honest with you, because I think this has definitely set me up in terms of where I am now. And even when we were just talking about Sainsbury's, that my skills with people and just being able to engage with lots of different kinds of people, lots of different kinds of characters in life, you know, and I just remember just really excelling, because I've never done a group interview before, but really excelling in this teamwork. And I'm all about collaboration. And obviously, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, we got to work together.
We did.
And, you know, team. I'm just so for team. And especially, it's hard to create a good culture of team.
100%.
You have to keep working at it, but I'm so for it. And so when I saw like how this company was, because I didn't really know much about it. Obviously grew up listening to Kiss FM, but didn't know 100%. That it was owned by
Bow Wow.
This Bauer. Yeah, Bauer.
You said Bow Wow. Yeah, sorry, my bad, Bauer. Yeah.
By Bauer. I was like, yeah, sure. So I applied, got the role. And so I was a sales coordinator.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was basically Bauer or Kiss, or I worked across all the stations at this point. It's a commercial radio station, so they have to bring in money. Money is what drives it. Obviously, BBC, it's people who watching TV license and stuff is what helps the BBC run, or continue to run, should I say. And so, at Bauer, I was like, commercial radio, what's this? And it's like getting all these brands, you know, so from, I don't know, you could have Sainsbury's to Adidas in the, you know, working with Grazia, or who else? BT, lots of people just sponsoring, like promoting their stuff on the radio station. So I had to plan where all these ads would go on the radio station. So I did that for about a year and a bit. And then, and through that, I was like a sales coordinator and then exec. But I was like, look, I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't really want to work in sales, but it was a great foot in the door. Yeah. And for me, I'm quite a curious person. So, you know, that might be my job, but best believe I'm going to be elsewhere. Look at what do you do? What do you do?
Playmaker, number 10. I'm about the pitch. Like,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not holding my position.
Not holding my position whatsoever.
Not DM. I'm not a DM.
You know, and I think that's actually, you know, something you do very well. Very good at networking with people.
I try.
Again, no, listen, you're doing it well. You're doing it well.
I appreciate it. You know, I'm going to take these compliments.
Yeah, good. You should.
I'm going to take them.
Because you're doing it excellently.
Thank you, man.
And then randomly, one of the account managers was like, Rebekah, are you the voice of the 122 bus? And I was like, sorry, what do you mean voice of? And he was like, yeah, you know the lady who's like 1222 Crystal Palace or Plumstead or whatever. And I was like, no. He's like, oh, your voice sounds really familiar. And it's like, does it? I don't know. And he was like, oh, have you ever thought about doing voiceovers? And sick. I was like, voiceovers? And I guess you don't really think something's a job until you realize it's a job. So he just connected me with somebody who worked at the other building in Soho, which is where all the stations are broadcasted from. Met this really lovely lady called Sarah. Big up Sarah, because she has a massive part in why I get to do some of the stuff I get to do today. And she sat down with me and she was like, oh, so voices. I was like, yeah, somebody just said I had a good voice and I should talk to you. And so I started chatting to her and she was just explaining to me what voiceovers do. So obviously somebody has to voice the ads on the radio, but you just never really thought about that could be an
actual job.
Be you, be somebody else. And she went, you've got a great voice. And I went, oh, thanks. And she was like, let's get you in for a demo. So came in, just voiced like a random ad. And she went, great.
Remember what it was?
Yeah. And honestly, since then, just voicing lots of ads on the radio, so a little bit on TV as well. It's just
what have you done so far?
So what have we done? I've done Love Island ads. I've done.
So done.
Yeah, honestly. Do you know? I'll send you the link and you can listen to my voice and you'll be like, yeah, just random things.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a lot on Kiss Fresh because I've worked in Bow, obviously. Well, I was working at Bow for 5 years. Do lots of stuff with Kiss Fresh, voicing stuff for Nando's. I don't know. There's been a rush.
No, you said I'm humble. You're moving humble. Nah. You're dropping some gems right there because it's mad. I love this because again, it's like people don't understand. There's actually, like you said, there's actually jobs for this. Do you know what I mean? Like that's mad to think that, you know, when you watch documentaries and you're like, man, I've heard this voice so many times. I don't see his or her face. Do you know what I'm saying?
Massively. Do you know who inspires me the most for that? I mean, you did see his face, but Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Oh, Let's Get Ready. Yeah. He's epic with it.
To have that.
That's iconic. That's iconic.
You know, that is something I'll be like, what can I say that would be, you can copyright that, only I can say it. You know, that would be dope. But yes, I just started doing all these, random voiceovers, Sky, doing just all these random things for film. And I think that's when I was like, my voice is good. So then did some stuff with like Kiss Fresh, did like a couple of shows, and then just some people who just really like pushed me. And I feel very privileged to have people who have backed me in the things that I've chosen to do. And so I started doing that, and then, you know, just doing bits of radio here and there. You know, radio wasn't like my first love. I kind of fell into radio, you know, because obviously my friend who was like, oh, you should just apply for this job, opened up a rafter of doors for me, I would say. And so communication has always been there. Like, always have drama, studied drama at school, you know, doing speech and just doing speech stuff. But I never knew that I would go into this. And it's funny how sometimes things that you find yourself doing as a kid make themselves known when you're a fully grown, adult. And then, so started doing more stuff like that. And then just had opportunities to do some very cool things with my voice. And then I just think just after the last 3 years that I was at Bauer, and especially the pandemic, well, no, not especially, the pandemic just really opened up for me. What is it that you want to do? You love speaking. And outside of work, I used to, or I still do, should I say, work for this festival called New Day, which just sees thousands of young people come and in Norfolk gather every year. And they were just like, oh, can you host this? And so I guess people at work, there's, for me, like church has been a massive part of my journey because, and obviously everyone has different relationships with church, but I'm like, church is the one place that teaches you skills like where you have to sit next to somebody you probably wouldn't want to speak to or sit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's things like that that I'm like, I'm so grateful for because you just learn to communicate with lots of different kinds of people in church. And then just doing all this stuff with young people and youth, communication. But you just don't realize you're doing it until you have to then start putting this into practice. Exactly. And like with your coaching, it's all been about communicating with all the players that you've been playing with, and now you're doing a podcast which requires that same level of, and I've seen you coach firsthand and you love it.
I love it. I do love it. And I think, do you know what it is with communication? That's crazy. I've kind of been forced to work on it. Obviously English not being my first language, having to learn. There's still times where I say things wrong, and then my wife will be like, that's not how you say it. And I'm like, I don't care. Yeah, it's not my language. Like, I've learned it along the way. But again, I'm always open to learning anyway. So, but yeah, I think it's a powerful tool, man.
Massively.
It's a powerful tool to learn, and the choices of words that we use as well is someone could say the same thing but say it differently, or the tone or anything like that, and it's like you can resonate with that person more than the other. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I remember when we first met as well, and I was like, no, you definitely got that character about you to be in front of the camera or to have that sort of voiceover stuff, because like I think it's naturally from you as well. I think you can work on it, but I think it's like you either have it or you don't. Me personally, I think you can always work on it and get better, but it's like Messi, Ronaldo. Like Ronaldo's worked for it. Do you know what I mean? Messi's like
gifted.
How the hell did you even get past that person? Like, you're defeating gravity, my bro.
I know.
Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I think that's important, man. But I know we can talk for days. We're gonna do a part 2 as well. 100%. But to kind of wrap things up, I want to ask a question, which I usually do anyway by the end of the show. And by the way, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Yeah? I don't do it, so I need to get used to it. Hit that subscribe button and press that bell as well. I've never said it before; it's the first time, so hit that bell and leave a comment below as well, man. If you found this episode beneficial, which I definitely have, and I'm sure a lot of people will as well. But yeah, my question is, obviously we've been, like we said, in the pandemic and a lockdown and everything like that. You said you've had time to reflect on things. What is the best lesson that you've learned about yourself during this time?
Best lesson. Best lesson. I would say,
or even something that you've known before, but it's kind of like, okay, that's a confirmation for me then.
Is what I said before. Find your tribe. I think that has been massive for me personally in all areas of my life. Just finding those people that are, and I think I qualify this with, your tribe are flawed people, so they're not going to get it right all the time. But people who are for you, in the different, and just about refining that, it's not going to come overnight. And I think for me, it's probably just highlighted who's been really for me and who I'm really for. Although obviously, we want to be, we're for everybody.
Yeah.
But we can't connect with millions of people. It's just not possible. But yeah, I think it's just about my tribe. And I realized how much I've relied on them to just encourage me and for me to be an encouragement to them. And I guess also, just naturally, just realizing the things that I thought I was doing really well. I'm like, you know what? You gotta work on that a little bit more, So yeah, I think those are probably the two things that I've come away with the pandemic, and also just lastly, actually, just try again. What I've been brought up with is just try. I like try. I love that song. It's like try, and then you'll succeed at last. And so for me, just try things. You just don't know where things
can take you.
Absolutely.
Boy, I think that's a good way to kind of end it there, because, but before we do, man, I want to say something that I've kind of got from this as well, is like sort of like a confirmation, is the fact that the power of saying yes sometimes. Like sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't know about that industry, or I don't really know about that. But it's like you don't know what door is going to open up for you if you do say yes and you try it. And like you said, if you try it, might be a thing where like I don't want to do this. Do you know what I mean? It might be a thing where it's not for me. Let me try something else. I think a lot of us sometimes we're quite closed-minded to open up new avenues and coming out of our comfort zone, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, like evolving, trying something new. Again, something like this is very, very new to me. From not understanding how to record on Zoom to actually doing it in person is like, yeah, this is just trying things. And along the way, I remember when we first tried to do a live one and I got the audio wrong, it didn't record. I'm like, the camera's shutting off, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, but you got to keep going, you got to keep trying. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's the best. Well, not the best, but I think that's something that I got out of this conversation as well, is the fact that keep going, man. Keep trying new things, and you never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
No, I appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me.
No, and I appreciate opening up as well, and giving us background of what you've been doing, and wish you the best of luck going forward.
Yeah,
And I'm sure we'll do a part 2 again, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So I appreciate it.
No,
but
thank you.
For people to check you out,
yes,
are you on socials or anything?
I am. Yeah, so on all socials, Rebekah E. Walker. Oh, perfect. Rebekah with a K-A-H, by the way, not C-C-A.
We'll leave the link anyway in the description. So remember, people, don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out Bex's stuff. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing you in the big screen again very, very soon. So peace, people.